Kia ora and good evening, and welcome to the 58th episode of the Huddy Hui. Great to have Jimmy Hewitt on Wednesday as they were preparing for their game against Tawa. Our guest tonight comes from Marist St. Pat's, and they have to take on the might of Northern United. James Zino is our guest on the Huddy Hui. Enjoy. Our guest tonight is Marist St. Pat's lock, James Zino. Marist St. Pat's big semi-final this weekend against Northern United. But James, let's review last weekend's game against Oriental Rongotai. End up winning 27 points to 22. But by all accounts, you just hung on at the end for the win.
Yeah, it was a tough game. It always is when we play Oris as well. You know, a lot of our boys grew up together, went to school together, and a lot of them are even related to each other as well. Some of our guys and their guys. So there's always a lot on the line. We call it the battle for the East. But man, the body, that's probably one of the sorest I've ever been after a game. I had bruises all down my shoulders and everything like that. The break of the ball hasn't really gone our way too much this year, or the bounce of the ball, should I say. So it was nice for us to finally get a win in one of those close games. We lost our fair share at the start of the season, so nice for us. And felt bad for the Oris boys because they definitely put it all out there, and they had a lot to be proud of from that game as well.
Well, of course, round two, you played Oriental Rongotai, and at one stage there, they were comfortably ahead, beating you. And then the last 15 minutes, somehow Marist St. Pat's came alive. And, of course, one of their former players scored quite an important try.
Yeah, so there was a lot kind of on the line in that game, as there always is when we play those guys. It's, bragging rights. There's so much more to it. So it was good for us to kind of have that little come from behind and get things going. And we've got quite a few young guys this year compared to previous years. So it's good for them to be able to win some of those games and, not learn that we're not, even though we're down, we're not necessarily out. So that was really cool for us as a team, and it definitely brought everyone closer.
Tell us about some of those young players, in particular the dynamic player that is Chicago Doyle.
Oh, he's awesome, man. He's a walking highlight reel. We've had two tries actually on that Kilburnie Park field. One versus Poneke, one versus Oris in the weekend, where he's kind of done one of those league slam dunks in the corner as he gets tackled out. But the skills of the kid for an 18-year-old, man, it's unreal. He's so explosive, so dynamic, and I've got a lot of friends that play for other teams around Wellington, and they've said to me when they've played him, they go, "Man, he's lightning, eh? He's rapid," and that's something pretty special for an 18-year-old to come into Prem Rugby. Usually, it takes them a couple years to kind of find their feet. And get comfortable because they've been playing versus boys and now they're playing versus men. But man, he's hit the ground running. He's been awesome every time he's taken the field in the red jersey.
And you mentioned it does take a while for young men to crack premiers. In your case, that has been your case. Of course, you had to battle away in the Premier Reserves for a long time, and also told you had to bulk up, which was quite hard for you, James. So tell us about your time with the Premier Reserves, because you learnt a lot of your hard graft from that time in the second team.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of a rite of passage when I first started. I think I caught the end of the old guard, but it was pretty unheard of for guys to kind of walk straight out of school into premier sides back then. So played a lot of senior ones rugby, and it's a really special grade for me. I've played with some of my best mates in those grades, and we've had some of the best times I've ever had on the field. But yeah, I started off as a bit of a pee-wee boy. So when I left school, I would have been just over 90 kilos soaking wet. Now, unfortunately, I've got the opposite problem, is that I'm probably getting told to drop a few kilos. But as you lose that metabolism, and a bit of kind of nature kicks in when you get into your mid-20s, you put on a few pounds. But so yeah, it's been a real 7 or 8 years I've kind of been around Marist, and I've probably played over 100 senior ones games, and I'm coming up on about 70-ish Prems games now as well. But it's been a real journey through, and met some awesome people along the way, played with some great players who have gone on to do bigger and better things as well.
Made your debut for the Premiers in 2015. Tell us about running on for your first ever Premier game, and how's your game changed since you've been part of the Premiers?
Yeah, so it was pretty exciting. I remember I sat through about 8 or 9 games before I actually got on when I was in the Prems. A few of those I was a fresh reserve and rode the pine for 80 minutes, which is always hard when you're a young guy to kind of do, especially having come out of high school where you go from being one of the better players in your team to just kind of another name on the list. So that first feeling running out into the field is really special. I remember a lot of the older guys that are still around, like the Valentine Meachins and stuff, saying, "Hey, you're here for a reason. Just relax, stay calm, because the nerves get to you, and you're hyper. You really want to do things, and they just said, play your game, relax, do yourself, and just give it your best shot." So I think from then, the big one for me was confidence. It was more when I started playing, I didn't want to make any mistakes. I didn't really try too many things because I was too worried about if something went wrong. As you get a bit more time in the jersey, I think you earn a bit of a right to throw the ball around a bit more, which thankfully I've got a bit more of now. So just confidence, really, a lot more confident to try things and give a few things a shot that I probably wouldn't have in my earlier years. But I think that's the way rugby's going as well. As the new guys come through, everyone's getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and the game's so dynamic now compared to a lot of the dash and crash that we saw, especially when I very first came to the club.
Let's talk about Marist St. Pat's this season. Very strong at home, but you've had a bit of a weakness on the road this season. Except for Ori's last weekend in the Swindale, only one win on the road, and that was only just against Avalon 14-12. What's been going on with Marist on the road this season?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the petrol prices getting everyone worried or something like that extra drive, but no, it's something we've addressed, and even in the last few years we've been pretty formidable at home, but on the road it hasn't really been clicking for us. So we've worked on kind of our time frames. When are we going to get there? What are we going to do? And trying to make things as similar as we can. Obviously, depending on who you're playing, sometimes you get different facilities better, but it's always good to be at home and you know exactly where you go and you have all your kit and stuff there. But I think that the good thing for us on Saturday is when we play at Portuguese Field, when we did Versailles on Saturday, we can still use all our facilities. So we still warm up at Marist, get changed, and then just walk across the road. But yeah, we've had a lot of chats around what's going on in the away games and just trying to normalize. It's the same really. The crowds aren't big enough in club rugby for it to be an absolutely huge advantage, having 40,000 people screaming for the other side. But yeah, it's definitely something we've talked about quite a lot, and we've been made very aware of by a few of my mates that play for other clubs.
What are some of the challenges that you face with the team this season? Particularly, you've had a bit of an injury, heavy injury toll this season.
Yeah, so a big injury toll in quite a few key positions as well. We also lost quite a few players to higher honours and stuff like that. So losing Tyrone Thompson was a really big one. He was an absolutely awesome player, and he's obviously, as you can see, he's gone on to do awesome things with the Chiefs and with the Māori All Blacks as well. Billy Proctor, we haven't seen too much of him this year with him doing awesome in the Canes as well. There, it's a different year. It's coming to the change of the guard, really. I think a lot of our guys are getting into their mid-30s now, and they've been playing club rugby for 15 odd years. So there's quite a bit of new blood in the team this year. You'll see some new names on the team sheet, and so it's trying to build those new connections, because so many of us have played rugby together for 5, 10, 15 years for even some of them. And that's, I think, one of the challenges we've had. But great bunch of young guys coming through. They really fit in really well with the team. It's just kind of learning how each other plays and kind of getting used to that. And fortunately, on a few of those away games, we learned a lot, but we had to kind of take those learns on the fly.
You've been a regular starting lock this season. Were you expecting to be starting so many games, James?
I think one of the things at Marist is you try and never expect it. So they always talk about it at training. Every jersey's up for grabs every week, no matter who you are, no matter what you do or what you've done for the club in the past. So really just about trying to earn the jersey, and there's a lot of really good young guys coming through as well that really chomping at the bit for a crack at the Prem jersey. So it's the last couple of years I've been lucky enough to have quite a few games in it, especially kind of last year and this year. So it's been good for me. I've been enjoying it and being around the mates and stuff. But yeah, it's always a fight to earn the jersey every week, and you go into those Thursday trainings when they name the squad, and you get a bit nervous as they're going through and they get to your position. You're hoping to hear your name, but yeah, it's always a good feeling when you do.
Oh, fantastic! And of course, Marist St. Pat's is where you have been post your college career, but before that, you played a bit of games with junior rugby for the Axemen. Was there pressure for you to go there? I believe that's your old man's club.
Yeah, well, so I grew up just around the corner. We used to live just around from the Untitled shop, so it was just a walk over the Green Bridge and head to training there. And we had some awesome coaches there as well, through Jared Tully, the old rector of St. Pat's, Alice Meechin as well, who's done a lot of international coaching, and they brought us up through the junior grades. I think just the bond between St. Pat's and Marist is probably what brought me across. Obviously, it was really cool having Brendan Reedy, who had been my first 15 coach the year before, move in to be the premier coach the same year that I left school. And then a lot of the guys I went to school with, played my first 15 rugby with, went to Marist St. Pat's. So that was kind of my reasoning for going there.
St. Pat's Town, of course, you were first 15 for a few years there. In particular, 2012 also, the regular captain didn't play most of the season, and you had to step up and captain quite a number of games in 2012. Tell us about what you learned about leadership.
Yeah, it's always an interesting one, but it's a real big privilege to be able to kind of captain your side, especially in first 15 rugby. There's so much passion in schoolboy rugby. Everyone loves it. People still go down and watch their old schools and stuff like that. You get quite a lot of respect around the school. It's a really cool kind of vibe and aura that you get from the people when you are getting those chances. Unfortunately for Matty, he did have a bit of bad luck with the injuries throughout that season, but I was really just kind of holding the place for him until he'd come back, to be honest. He was definitely the captain. It was just, fill in where I can and do what I can. I think the reason he didn't mind too much is he didn't want to do too much of the after-match speeches. So he used to always, even when he was there, he'd be like, "Oh, you do the speech for us after." But it was cool. It was good for me to kind of get that chance, and something I'll never forget being able to do.
What was your most memorable game playing in the first 15 at Town?
The most memorable in a good way was definitely 2011 when we beat Wellington College. We won 12-10. Last play of the game, they had a line out on our try line, and we managed to hold them out and take the win. I think we might have been the first team to beat them in a few years as well. I remember going back into the change rooms after, and everyone was just a buzz. John Shomka was our manager at the time, and he started the Sectari Feed Him song, and everyone kind of joined in and was jumping around. It was that would definitely be the high point of my first 15 rugby there, was winning that game.
And of course, you've mentioned Brendan Reedy and the coaching staff, but there's also another important member of the first 15 coaching staff that used to get you guys into shape at the start of the season, Ainsley Savell. Tell us about Miss Savell.
Oh, the Iron Leader. She was awesome, mate. She was awesome on and off the field. She kept a lot of the boys in line around the school. But she always had everyone's best intentions at heart. Couldn't say enough good stuff about Ainsley. She did crack the iron whip. The boys were pretty scared of her, so if she said to do something, everyone would do it pretty quick, and she didn't get much lip back from the boys. But no, she really inspirational. She really led from the front. I remember one of the guys saying he saw her at City Fitness on the treadmill, and he reckoned it would have been on 16 or 17 full sprint, and she was just going for 20-30 minutes straight. So she wasn't doing anything to us that she wouldn't have been able to do herself. But no, she was awesome, tough as nails, eh?
Of course, there's another sport that you were pretty handy at your time at St. Pat's Town, and of course you got to represent New Zealand in the sport of water polo. Tell us about playing water polo, because you, unlike being a lock where you're on the field, this time you actually were stuck inside a cage.
Yeah, so I was the goalie there, so I did manage to avoid a lot of the swimming. It was pretty full on. I was playing in quite a few teams at once, so under 16s, under 18s, schoolboys, men's, and then, like you said, lucky to get a couple games in for New Zealand as well, for a couple of years. So that's definitely why I was a lot skinnier than I am now. We're in the pool, 8, 9, 10 times a week, before school, after school, playing games, and just loved it. Heaps of awesome trips away with the guys, and made some awesome friends and people that I'll always know and always have a lot of time for the rest of my life.
And of course, there's one memorable trip that is known in 2012 as Good Friday. Do you remember that one?
Might need to refresh my memory.
My refresher, where we beat St. Kitts, and that got us into the top 8, and then we went up watching the Hurricanes beat the Blues in the last minute. That was a memorable day. That one, wasn't it?
That was a great day. Yeah, I think you actually shouted the boys the tickets to that.
I did. Yes, I did. I paid for all the tickets for you guys to go to Eden Park. So that was a good. That was one of the best tournaments I've been away on. It was a great day, that one. Let's also wind back to rugby, of course, as well. But speaking about St. Pat's Town, you're giving back to the college. What do you? And of course, we've got you early on today because you've got to head down the road to St. Pat's Town to take up some coaching. What's your role there?
Yes, I'm assisting. So I'm assistant forwards coach. So we've got a head forwards coach and a head coach. So there's a guy, Sam Maxwell, who's the head forwards coach, and a pretty well-known name to the school, in Al Terrell, who's the head coach of the under-15s. So he's been the coach quite a few times over the years, and he's been pretty successful in it as well. First year for me coaching, so I'm really running some kind of drills in that with the forwards mostly, but trying to kind of bring in some of the stuff that we're running in senior rugby that potentially wasn't around as much when those guys were playing. So like the formations, the 1-3-3-1s and that kind of stuff, and teach some of that to the new boys. But no, I love it. I'm still got a lot to learn as a coach. But I think being able to kind of give back and meet some of the boys and kind of see where they're coming from and what they've got going on, and remembering that rugby's just a part of their life, and trying to kind of help them and be a positive role model for them where I can, on and off the field.
And what do you do outside of rugby, James? What's the job and hobbies?
Yeah, so I work for ANZ. I'm a recruiter at ANZ. So I've been with ANZ for about 5 years now. Hobbies wise, I'm not that fun of person. I quite like free diving. We like to go out and try and catch some food. It's always good to be able to share a bit of that around. Otherwise, we play a bit of social basketball, and the odd bit of PlayStation as well where we can.
This Saturday, all-important game, the semi-final to qualify for the Prelim Semi-Finals next weekend, and you have Norths out at Jerry Collins Stadium. You played out there in round 10 and went down 34 points to 26, but at halftime, they were beating you 21 points to 9. This Saturday, is it going to be the start that has to improve, or how can you get around Norths this season?
Yeah, that's what we've talked a lot about, and that actually showed in quite a few of our games this year, is that we ended up chasing the game. And when you're playing a quality side like Norths, if you're chasing the game and you let them get too far ahead, like it did in that week 10, we couldn't pull it back. So yeah, definitely the plan is for us, we need to try and find a way to play the full 80 minutes. And that's something that we were really, that's why that Auries win really resonated with us, and that we could fight it out all the way to the end. It was tooth and nail kind of a game, and there was no, if you'd let off for 5 minutes, the game would have gone their way. So that's really the big struggle for us, and as part of that, we've really increased the intensity of our trainings. So Tuesday trainings were pretty much non-stop work. We did 31 minutes on Tuesday of just no breaks in between anything, hit the pads, gone to lineouts, gone to scrums, hit the pads, and everyone was dripping after it in the green room and the tin box there. But yeah, that's really it for us, is trying to find a way to play for the full 80, especially versus a side like North, where if you give them a sniff, they'll take them off.
And who are the players in the Northern United team that you'll be watching out for on Saturday?
Yeah, so funny one. We actually had a big talk about this at training on Tuesday, and around trying to not focus on who they've got. So instead of, I'm marking this guy, it's basically, instead of calling people by their names, just say, I'm marking him, so I'm marking them. So I think I'd land myself in a bit of hot water if I gave you any specific names. There's a few jersey numbers that we're not sure about. Potentially number 7, I'm not sure if it's playing or not. And a first 5 that always are pretty awesome when you see them out there. But it's trying to respect them, respect the game, but not put too much respect on them. At the end of the day, we're all on the same field. We're playing on equal kind of grounds. But yeah, so that was a big thing we talked about on Tuesday, is not giving them too much honor. Until after the game, when you go have a beer and shake hands and be best mates after. But yeah.
just falling short in the Jubilee Cup last year against Tawa. It's been a long time since 2012, I believe, was the last time Marist St. Pat's won the Jubilee Cup. In preparation for this game, what is it that Marist needs to take to the next level?
Yeah, I think that Jubilee final last year was a tough pill to swallow. It wasn't even a close game. Tawa, that was probably the best game of Prem Rugby I've ever seen anyone play, to be honest. Everything they did worked well, and they definitely deserved the win on that day. I think for us, it's at the moment, especially this year, trying to take it week by week. There's still a couple games for us to even make the Jubilee final, so we've got to try and kind of see what we can do to last another week, and that's through Tuesday trainings, Thursday trainings, Saturday games. But the big expression we've been saying around our camp is win the week. So win the week, win the trainings, do the right things, eat the right meals, that kind of stuff on Friday night, not having too many beers or anything like that before the game, but trying to do things to win the week, so to set ourselves up to go as best we can. I think we've peaked at a pretty good time in the season, to be honest. I think we've started to kind of find our feet, and it's quite a known thing for Tawa to have done in the past, is sometimes they'd squeak into the Jubilee Cup and then go all the way through and win it. So that's something for us that we're hoping to kind of follow in those footsteps, and we don't just made it in as the 8th seed, but keep trying to kind of build all the way up to the final, instead of potentially in previous years where we've peaked and then started coming back down in the final as other teams were on the up and up.
Well, James, it's been fantastic having you on the Hui. All the best for Saturday. Go well.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Fantastic interview with James Zino, a young man that's come a long way since his days playing for the St. Pat's Town First 15 and going well for Marist St. Pat's. And they will be definitely looking to step up their performance against Northern United in their semi-final this weekend. Let's look at the games this weekend. So the Prelim Semi-Finals for the Jubilee Cup. We've got Porniki at home against Tawa and Northern United against Marist St. Pat's. Tawa just seemed to be coming right. They won quite comfortably at Kilbini Park in the second to last round of the Swindale Shield, and they had a big win against OBU. So expecting them to come up trumps in that game. And of course, Northern United against Marist St. Pat's. So I guess might have been from Marist St. Pat's tonight, but I think Norths, they may potentially have Duplessis, Karefi, and Jackson Garden Bishop back. And at home, they've been pretty handy this year, Norths. So I think Norths might just sneak home over Marist St. Pat's. Let's look at the Hardham Cup. Oris and Old Boys University dropping down, having lost their Jubilee qualifiers last weekend. So Orange and Rongotai have the might of the Wellington Axemen, and it should be Oris pretty comfortable at home with that one knocking out the Axemen. Old Boys University against Avalon. Old Boys University going up a pretty competitive Avalon side in 2022, but I think Old Boys University will do enough at home to take that one out. Upper Hutt, Johnsonville. Well, this could be a real doozy. Johnsonville falling short to Wainui Martin. Upper Hutt at home have won some close games and just narrowly avoided the close games. But I think Upper Hutt will definitely win that game. And Parramatta Plymouton versus Wainui or Marta. Wainui or Marta, big win against Johnsonville. But Parramatta Plymouton this season have shown they can be pretty competitive. So Parramatta at home this weekend. Let's have a look at the Transit Coach Line's first 15 premiership, because we've got some really, big important game that I'll be commentating on this Saturday. We'll get to that soon. We've got Hibs versus Wairarapa College. Hibs had a decent win against Mana last weekend, winning that one 32 points to 17. And Wairarapa at home falling short to Scots College. But Hibs at home in the middle of the Trentford Racecourse, and what the weather looks like could be pretty dicey this Saturday, should do enough. Rongotai St. Pat's Town. Well, Rongotai caused a massive upset against Wellington College at home on their traditional. This is a Saturday traditional. And St. Pat's Town showed up to Scots College 2 weeks ago in a 15-all draw. I think St. Pat's Town might just get over the line there. Luca Bellacci there, flanker from Italy, who arrived in the country to stellar game in that draw against Scots College. So I think St. Pat's Town just seemed to be peaking right at the time. Mana, Wellington College, Mana at the bottom at the moment, but they are competitive and they're trying their best. But Wellington College, second on the table, should comfortably win their bye for St. Bernard's this weekend. But the game I'm calling on Sideline.live is Scots College at home against St. Pat's Silverstream. Scots definitely need this win. 2 losses so far in the competition, and they definitely need a win to cement their place in the top 4 for Silverstream, first on the table. only undefeated side in the Premiership, but a win here will keep them top. A loss, Wellington College will jump up to first place. So that game kicks off at 2:30 p.m. That should be a real stunning match indeed. And of course, in the Jubilee Cup and the main semi-finals next week, Huddy Boys, Marist and Batoni have the week off, and they will wait to see who they will play next weekend. Will it be Tawa or Porniki or Marist or Northern United that go through to the big semi-finals to qualify for the big show? In 2 weeks' time, Jubilee Cup Grand Final, all to play for this Saturday. And this has been the 58th episode of the Huddy Hui. You'll take care all and enjoy your rugby action this weekend. Ciao for now.